Keisha Butts with a CTV News update. 2 people are dead after a man allegedly shoots at officers and steals a police car during an altercation early this morning. Police were called to the 7700 block of Shantz Terrace in Lanham for the report of a suicidal man with a gun banging on a door. Police say as officers arrived, the suspect opened fire. As an officer got out of a cruiser to take cover, the suspect stole the vehicle and struck a family member. The family member, a woman, has died. The suspect ultimately jumps a curb and strikes several police cars.
And it's just sad to know that this has happened in this area. It's normally a very quiet and peaceful neighborhood, so it's just unfortunate. My condolences to the families that has lost loved ones. And also, I'll also pray for all the officers involved.
The suspect died at the hospital. For the 7th straight day, Maryland reports more than 1,000 new coronavirus cases. More than 1,300 were reported in the last 24 hours. The state now has more than 156,000 COVID cases, and 12 Marylanders have died in the last day. Meantime, the governor is expected to make an announcement on the state's COVID response later today. Vice President-elect Kamala Harris has broken several major barriers this year. She's the first woman, first Black, and first South Asian to assume the VP position. Harris and Maryland delegate Wanika Fisher share similar backgrounds. Fisher says Harris's groundbreaking win is significant for women and young girls.
I relate to Kamala so much, and it's funny when I usually go to Asian American political events or Indian events, I'm always introduced as like the Maryland Kamala Harris for people to have context. Because if you're in like, maybe an Asian political setting, I'm the only Black person in the room and they're like, what's this Black girl doing there? I think I finally can feel like I can point to someone and be like, oh, I'm like Kamala. I think being of a mixed descent and just in the context of America, where race is made to be very simple and it's not, I'm constantly asked what I am. And I think, it just makes me super proud. I also have an Indian mother, so I'm South African Indian. Kamala's mom is straight from India and her dad's Jamaican, and my dad is Nigerian, Yoruba. So similar love story. I am a former prosecutor as well. She's my sorority sister, so I do feel very linked to Kamala in certain ways. And as a little girl, I just never thought I'd really see someone who looked just like me, who was of my family sort of background, ascend to one of the highest offices in our country.
A former prosecutor, Fisher is serving her first term in the Maryland House of Delegates. We will have more on her interview later this week. As Republican leaders continue to back President Trump in his quest to get the election results overturned, we continue our discussion tonight with former Howard University professor Dr. Alvin Thornton on the state of election affairs.
What's the task for Biden?
It's a very difficult task because, as he said in his pre-victory speech, I have to be the president of all Americans, those who voted for me and against me. There are no red states, there are no blue states, there's no black, this, that, and the other. There's no white, this, that, and the other. So he has to try to be the president of all. But he has to also deal with the fact that we have a divided nation. We have Democrats who are progressives and those who are moderates. And we have extreme Republicans who will be with President Trump. And then we have Republicans who are moderates and in the center. So and he's going to have to try to rise and be a president for all of that. Now, that's very difficult.
He talked about in his comments over the weekend about trying to bring people together on both sides.
Yes.
Given how separated both sides are, is that even possible?
Well, one of the things that may make that possible is the threat we face. See, sometimes it's not the person, it's the circumstances and condition. COVID-19, 200 and almost 40,000 Americans dead, more than 1 million now infected, the economy going into a tailspin. Sometimes circumstances force people to do what they would not normally do. When President Johnson became president in 1964, a Southern Texas president, no one would have ever thought, and he had been a segregationist, No one would have ever thought that he would support the 1965 Civil Rights Act, the 1965 Voting Rights Act, the 64 Civil Rights Act, open housing. The circumstances forced him to. I think something like this is coming to our nation, and that will happen.
So as it is now, the President Trump has filed legal action. He's not going out with a fight. What's your reaction to that?
President Trump is not a Democrat, small d. President Trump does not believe in democracy. President Trump is not a Republican. President Trump is an autocratic, anti-democrat, not Democratic Party. He does not believe in that. That should be very obvious to the American people. I agree with what old-line Republicans, Lincoln Project Republicans, the governor of Ohio, even the governor of Maryland, who did not say he's supporting Biden-Harris, said he could not support Trumpism. So when you see this unwillingness to concede and do what every president has done in the history of our country, is to participate in the transition and accept the democratic process, that's alien to our democracy. And so we have to hurry up and get that kind of a political virus out of the way. It's painful for him. He got to the president with some shenanigans, so it's going to be very difficult for him. But that will go away as of January the 20th. And on the 21st that morning, or at 12 o'clock on the 20th, he will be gone. And Biden and Harris will be the president, and the American people will then have to unite to deal with those problems that I mentioned.
Looking for a job right now can be tough, but a local organization that helps people with disabilities wants you to know it has plenty of opportunities.
I've been looking for jobs ever since January.
Tanya Johnson says she's had a tough time finding a job.
It's been very hard, difficult, you know, trying to keep the bills up and challenging, waiting on the unemployment to come and different things like that. So it's been a challenge this year.
Johnson and several others are interviewing for positions at the ARC Prince George's, which is hosting a drive-through job fair today. The ARC provides services for people with disabilities.
I worked at the ARC of Montgomery County before, so I said that I am very familiarized with the ARC. So I said that I decided to do the ARC of PG because I love the job that I do, working with special needs children.
Allison Coleman, who has more than 35 years of experience working with special needs children, is also applying. She's been looking for a job for about a month.
I am the breadwinner of my family, so it would mean a lot, you know, but I do know something will come soon.
At the ARC Prince George's drive-through job fair, the organization is interviewing candidates for its direct support professional positions. Staffers say there are about 50 part-time positions.
Direct support professionals assist people with disabilities in the group's community living homes.
In the houses, they are providing personal supports for the people that live in the home. That is preparing their meals. That may be helping them get dressed. That may be helping them make their bed. They really are providing supports in whatever capacity the individual they're supporting needs.
As for Johnson, after she completed her interview, she was hired on the spot.
I'm very glad to get paid, be happy, and to work with them. I just want to be an inspiration to the disability adult. That's just my passion job.
The job fair is taking place until 7 this evening. You must bring a copy of your resume with you. You may not be familiar with the name Sydney Barber, but it's fair to say that everyone at the Naval Academy in Annapolis will know who she is. Midshipman First Class Sydney Barber has been tapped as Brigade Commander at Annapolis, the first black woman to serve in the post in the institution's 175-year history. As Brigade Commander, Barber will assume the highest leadership position in the student body, overseeing day-to-day activities and professional training of her fellow midshipmen.
Something that inspires me is knowing the legacy of those who have come before me as a midshipman. People like Miss Janie Mines, class of 1980, who was the first African-American female midshipman. And knowing that she walked the same stribling walk every single day, but the difference between her experiences and mine is that she was called racial slurs on a daily basis, but now I get to walk here and I get to follow in her footsteps and be her wildest dream. Those are the things that motivate me, just knowing that I'm standing on the shoulders of giants, and I hope that one day I can also be the giant that someone else can stand on my shoulders too.
Barber takes over the position next semester. She was selected by school leaders to guide the student body. Tomorrow, November 11th, is Veterans Day. Many of the events honoring those who served are virtual, including an event scheduled for tonight here in the county. Prince George's Veterans Recognition Day is set for this evening at 7 o'clock. It is sponsored by Human Relations Commission and is aimed at helping veterans. One of the speakers will be Dr. James Dula, who is a retired Air Force major.
And it's an opportunity to talk about veterans as they transition from the military and come to civilian life. It is also an opportunity to let veterans know what their rights are as veterans in the workforce, and what the business owner or the corporation know what the responsibilities are of the employer when they hire veterans.
To take part in the event, go to pgcmls.info/events and enter Veterans Recognition. A very special monument will be dedicated tomorrow on Veterans Day. The circular object outside the National Museum of the American Indian has been years in the making. It will be dedicated to the service of Native Hawaiians, Alaska Natives, and American Indians in the U.S. Armed Forces.
It doesn't have a specific war, so it's not World War II or World War I, and it is not at all tribally specific. It's not the Navajo code talkers. It is, in fact, timeless. It's supposed to represent Native warriors or Native veterans in the past, the present, and also the future. I think that's unique for a memorial in Washington. Also, it's very much a place. Some of our memorials are more pieces of sculpture, and this is very much a place, a circular place within our campus that you enter through a very beautiful path, and then you're within this circular place, and at the very center, you see this very large stainless steel open ring. And the symbolism is very purposefully universal, but also abstract. It's not figurative of any Native person. It also doesn't put you in a time.
Virtual events recognizing the new memorial will take place all week. You can check out the new digital exhibition, Why We Serve, which explores the story of 250 years of Native American military service. For more information, log on to americanindian.si.edu. A Latina woman who claimed she was illegally fired from her janitorial job in Hyattsville will receive a settlement from cleaning company Blackstone Consulting. In a federal lawsuit, Salvadorian immigrant Marta Rivas says she was subjected to a derogatory tirade and illegally fired because she had limited command of English. Rivas worked at the Hyattsville Medical Center run by the company's client, Kaiser Permanente. Under the settlement, Rivas will receive nearly $1.5 million in back pay. Prince George's Community College announces its spring 2021 plans. Students can take virtual or hybrid courses. Hybrid courses are designed for anyone taking labs, which includes the culinary arts, EMT, and allied health and nursing programs. If you have to meet in person, safety protocols such as social distancing will be enforced.
Prince George's County has seen a rise in the number of confirmed COVID-19 cases. So at this time, maintaining our overall virtual environment will absolutely allow us to continue to support and promote the health of our students and our faculty, staff, and our community.
The spring semester starts on January 19th, and you can enroll today. The Maryland State Medical Society, or MedChi, will now have an all-female executive leadership, the first time in its 221-year history. The organization installed its new president over the weekend during a virtual meeting. Dr. Shannon Pryor became the society's 173rd president, and Dr. Laura Lee Ma was elected to the office of president-elect. They joined past president Dr. Michelle Manahan as the three members of MedChi's presidential committee. And that wraps up our CTV News update. I'm Keisha Butts. Have a good night.